I'm your host, Roger Weafer. Welcome to another episode of Magic by Roger. I'm sure that most feel that the life of a magician is a bed of roses. All we have to do is sit around all day and shuffle our cards, practice our cuts, and worry about how we're going to feed the bunny rabbit today. Well, the work usually comes, and sometimes there are challenges to be met. In my early 20s, I was working for a group of businessmen, and there was a very old gentleman sitting right in front of me, and his eyes never left my hands or the cards, much like yours right now. So I asked him if he'd help me with a trick, and he said, "Well, youngster, I might be able to help you out." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, let me see those cards for a second." So he took the cards, gave the cards a couple of quick cuts. Nothing to worry about, I thought. But then he separated the pack into two halves, half the cards face up and half the cards face down. And he proceeded to shuffle the face down cards and the face up cards together. And at that moment, I knew I was either facing another magician or a crazy man. Either could apply. But he handed me the pack and said, "There you go, youngster. Let's see what you can do with that." I said, "Well, there's not much you can do with a face-up, face-down mess, but maybe cut a card." So I cut the pack one way, then another, and was looking at the first king. Well, obviously he wasn't impressed, and there was no reason to be. But a second riffle and a little deeper cut. First one way, then another. And there was the second king. At this point, at least, I had his attention. A third cut, following the riffle, cutting further down in the pack, almost near the bottom. First one way, then another. And there was the king of spades. And a tiny bead of sweat started down the old man's forehead. I had him right where I wanted him, I figured. But you know the perils of youth. Sometimes you get a little cocky. I cut anywhere without the riffle. And sure enough, it got me nowhere fast. Well, a big old smile came across the old man's face. And he said, "Well, youngster, I guess you just couldn't cut it." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, you cut an ace." I said, "Well, I certainly did." Of course, nobody said that these had to be kings. Like the old song says, the smile ran away from his face. And he looked at me, curious for a moment, and he said, "Well, if those are the aces, where are the kings?" I said, "Well, if I fix the mess that you made, we may be able to find the kings are the only face-up cards in the face-down pack." At the end of the show, he shook my hand and thanked me for a great job. And the next day, I had no worries on feeding my bunny rabbit. This is Magic by Roger, signing off.